This is gonna be a series on my channel. I guess I'm gonna call it Story. First title is gonna be called Story in COD. But essentially, I'm gonna put out story videos and gameplay. Me either playing Call of Duty or various other titles. But we're gonna play something different today while we're doing story time. So I'm gonna talk about the story of the first time I how can I say this? The first time, no, let's talk about my first day in middle school. Because the first day in middle school leads up into the story. So it's like my first day in middle school, and I go to my classroom, and they're like, oh, you're in the lab cluster. So at first, I'm like, okay, cool, I'm in the lab cluster. Because our school is divided up by clusters. I don't know how they do it at your school or whatever. Our school is divided up by clusters. And so, I was in the lab cluster. Ain't nobody tell me that the lab cluster was full of delinquents. I mean, my first day there, everybody was going around in circles and getting jumped. It was kind of crazy. So I just sit in class, minding my business, because I don't fuck with none of these people yet. And my teacher walks in. We're going to call him Mr. D for purposes of disclosure. You know, I ain't going to put nobody's information out there. But we're going to call him Mr. D. And Mr. D is an asshole. Now, Mr. D was gay, but he didn't want to admit that he was gay. Now, if I'm a middle schooler and I can tell that you're gay, you are obviously gay. There ain't no way in hell you hiding the fact that you're gay from me. And, the funny thing about the whole situation is that there's this kid in my class whose name's John. John, one of my best friends to this date, this Negro, he gonna walk up to the teacher and be like, "Mister, are you gay?" He's like, "No, I'm not gay." I'm like, "So, mister, why are you wearing that?" And at this time, the teacher didn't notice that we could see that he was wearing a thong. Now, this was when I was just like, what the fuck did I get myself into? I'm like, this school is bad. I just thinking to myself that this fucking school is the weirdest school I've ever been to in my life. My first room teacher was wearing a thong, and he was saying that he wasn't gay, and it was just all that. Because it was like, if he wasn't in his class, he was like the only class that no one fought in, besides math class. Our math teacher, she was like, she's black. Like, she's black. Like, she was for no bullshit. Miss H. Oh, man. Her class was funny, too. So it's the second period now. I'm sitting here with John. And I had to collect myself for a minute. It's kind of a frustrating story. So I'm sitting here with John. Oh, first person mode. I'm sitting here with John, and we're chilling in the back of the class. So in the back of the class, John is like, fucking with me. Like, he's taking my pencils. He threw a few of my pencils at another student, and he took my eraser. Back in the day, I had those erasers that you know, the pointy erasers that you be putting on the pencil and shit. I had one of those. He was taking those and throwing them at the teacher and shit. And she picked one up and she looked at me. And I'm like, Miss, that's not me. I don't do childish shit like that. And after a few more times, she ended up sending me out the classroom. Now, this is when I meet this one counselor at my school. She got a fucking nose like Pinocchio, my nigga. She looked like the Wicked Witch of the West, my nigga. Like, it's so bad. She looks so bad, man. And I remember clearly sitting in her office, like, why am I here? Like, I didn't even do anything. And John's sitting there dying. He's just laughing the whole time. And I'm just sitting here like, I'm gonna fuck you up after class. So I got in trouble for some shit I didn't do. And she's like, so why are you throwing things in your classroom, this, and that? And I'm just like, Miss, do I look like the type to throw shit at someone? Do I really look like the type? Like, do I look like one of those type of people who have no life? Like, to me, like, when you do little shit like that, that's just signs that you have no life. Like, there's other ways to contain your boredom, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't just throw shit at people because you're bored, or you're trying to get people to start shit. That's just childish and stupid. That's just the shit I can't fuck with. And John was sitting there like, I don't know, bro. He's sitting there like, I really was just bored. And I'm like, why? Why? So I said, John, I'm gonna see you after class. I'm gonna see John after class. So we're at 4th period now. We're about to go to lunch. Oh, lunch? Oh, let's talk about lunch. Let's skip 4th period. 4th period, nothing really happened. It was just the same shit over and over again. He'd take my shit, throw it at people. And then he got like his own bundle from this school store that they had. They had a school store at my school. I don't know if they had that at you guys' middle school. My middle school, they had a school store. And at lunch, you can go to the middle school store. It was open at lunchtime, and it was opened up at the end of the day. So at lunchtime, John takes pictures to the school store. I go to the store, I buy me some Twizzlers and stuff, buy me some candy. And this nigga gonna buy 2 packs of an eraser. And I'm like, alright, so give me a pack of erasers. And he's like, no. I'm like, what do you mean? You threw all my erasers this morning. Throughout the first half of the school day. And I'm like, I don't even fuck with you like that. Like, it's still weird that we even talking. But he was really cool, so I just took it with a grain of salt. He was cool as hell. But it was kind of crazy. Who the hell switched the views? It was kind of bad. So after like 5 minutes of arguing with him, he said if I gave him some of my Twizzlers, he'd give me a pack of Oreos. I was just like, fuck it. I gave him some. Now at this point, I did not realize that John had set me up. I had not realized that John had set me up for this. So we go back to lunch, and I sit in my seat, and all you hear is a big ass fart noise. And I'm like, I know this nigga did not hit me with the whoopee cushion. And yes, he hit me with the whoopee cushion. I was offended. I was very offended by this. So I said, I know this was John. It has to be one of these other assholes out here. This can't be John. He ain't that bad. And sure enough, it was John. Now, the thing that made this so bad is that John never acted like that besides on the first day of school. So at first, I really thought John was a prick. I was just like, I don't like John. So at the end of the day, we meet up in the schoolyard. And I say, John, you about to get your ass kicked. So at this point, he's squaring up with John. We in the yard. Okay, that's what that was. So we're sitting in the yard. And we start wrestling and shit. And I punched John in his nose. I broke his nose. I broke John's nose. Yo, who took my life? Sorry, got distracted. So I'm throwing my fist at him. Me and John getting into it. I break his nose. And I remember him saying, I like you. And I was just like, what do you mean? He said, everybody else would never fight with me. They're too pussy. He said, I respect the fact that you just went and gave me the hand. And I'm sitting there looking at everybody. And I didn't even realize how many people were sitting there waiting for me and him to fight. Like, I turned around after the fight and we were surrounded by like half the school. And I'm just like, this was the first day. Ooh. And I thought that was kind of weird. Ooh, there's eggs. What's going to happen to the eggs? Alright, yeah. So, sit there, and I'm just stunned at how many people are just really sitting. And so the next day, I don't know how, but the principal had heard what I did. We wasn't even on school grounds, but I guess everybody was talking about it. And since he came in with his broken nose the next day. Yo, who the hell took my life? Take one of these other assholes' lives, man. But, see, this is why you didn't even take my fucking life. I died immediately after. But, what was I saying? Oh yeah, the principal heard, and I got called into the office, and I'm sitting there with John, and John's mom. Now, John's mom was, she bad, bruh. John's mom was bad. Like, I ever see a girl like that before. Well, a MILF anyway, like that before. She was like, she's like on normal people terms, she's like an 8. And her body was very, like, good. Like, her body wasn't saggy. Like, I thought she was like 20-something years old, and I thought that she was like 40. And I was just like, damn. And like, John, like, me and John became cool after all of this. Because him and his mom basically essentially made me and him, because she was going to press charges on him. But instead she made me and him friends. And I was like, that's weird. That is just a weird thing to happen. Am I the only one alive right now? I don't know. I just think that's crazy. But that was the first day of it. That was just a ridiculous turn of events. But hopefully it will never happen again. Pretty soon I'll have another story time for the first day back in high school.
Silverback Challenge. Radden's Rally.
I didn't know I could do... What? They didn't tell me you had first person. I didn't know you had first person for the trucks. So, yep, that was the first story. Plenty of other stories I can tell you. There's a few I really can't. Because I feel like terms of agreement would like, and just for like simple shit that no one would really fuck with. But I got a few stories. So what's another story I can tell? Oh, how about the story of my first girlfriend? All right. So my first girlfriend, I met my first girlfriend in elementary school. Me and her had the same class in second grade, We became really good friends. Now, later on, say like after 2nd grade, I changed schools and I moved to a different town. Funny enough that around around 8th grade, now this is after my first day of middle school, that was in a different town than what I'm currently living in during this time. And me and her end up being in the same homeroom in 8th grade. So we started catching up and stuff, getting close again. And I remember that I was wearing the most scruffiest clothes you could possibly wear. Like, I was just straight out, I did not look good at all. I wasn't supposed to look good. I wasn't even trying to. I just threw on some clothes because I didn't feel like looking for it that day. And I remember very clearly, we were sitting in the cafeteria, and I was like, because I liked her. Like, I remember back in the day, I really liked her. I liked her back in elementary school. And I remember saying to my boys like, oh, I'm gonna bag her, da-da-da-da-da. And my boys is like, you ain't gonna do it. I was like, yeah, I bet I will. We made a bet. Everybody put in $10. Everybody put in $10 in this bet. And I went over there. I remember I had my worn out gear. That was just my gear I wear when I get to play. I had a stained up white tee from earlier in the day from playing basketball and shit. And had my jeans on that I wear for track. I had my track jeans on because I didn't want to wear good clothes. So I knew I was going to do track later on that day. So I wasn't trying to wear no good clothes yet. And essentially, I went over to her and I was like, hey. She was like, hey. And all her friends are sitting there like, oh my God, what is he doing here? Da da da. And I'm sitting here and I'm talking to her. And I asked her, I was like, hey, you want to go out sometime? This and that. And she said, sure. And I remember my reaction. I was just like, how the fuck did I even pull that off? I remember thinking that to myself, like, how did I even pull this off? How did I pull this off? I remember sitting there, like, really? I was really just sitting there, like, how? How did that even happen? And I remember that my boy, I sat back down, and she came back to the table with me. And my boy's like, I know that did not just happen. Because mind you, these are the days when people get roasted from wearing like you wearing some high waters or some shit, you're like hell. Let's be honest. The first nigga you catching some high waters, it's just all about you. And like, I remember that my dude's sitting here like, yo, I can't believe this nigga really pulled this shit off. There's no way he could have pulled that off. And I remember that later on that day, me and him and his sister and her, we went out together. We went out to the park. And I was just cool with it. Because I ain't never really like, as a kid, I wasn't outdoorsy besides like doing like running. Like I wasn't playing sports. Like I didn't play a lot of sports. The only sports I played, well, actually only swam and did track and shot around for fun. Like, if I was doing like basketball, I wasn't doing that seriously. I was doing that for fun. The funny thing about the whole thing is that most of the people I know me for that. Like, I'm a gamer. I've been a gamer since I was a kid. I've been gaming since I was like 3 years old. Oh, this is the first time I've seen first person in the thing. yeah, but I was a gamer. I never really went outside like that. Like, I was a gamer kid. When I went outside, I was athletic, you know, I did what I did. But I wasn't heavily outside. And I remember that this was back when I used to play with my friends. And we had a basketball outside of our house. My friend Sean owned one. So we would always do that. Am I the only one up again? You guys are terrible. So, yo, who did that? Come on, man. Almost got me killed with that. That's why your ass died again. Gosh. I'm sorry, I had to focus up real quick, and you see I ran into some shit. But we went to the park and all. I got off the track. Went to the park. We're playing basketball. Now, for those of you who don't know me in real life, I am extremely tall. I've been like 5'11" since I was in like 7th grade, and then once I hit like my freshman year, I became like 6'4", and I've been like 6'4" ever since. So for the average American, that is not tall. But I digress. We were playing ball, and I remember this was the first time I ever dunked a basketball. So I was rolling with my boy. My boy was going in. Like, he was crossing me up and everything, because he played more than I did. But I was just getting fed up with the shit. I was just like, you know what? Try to get the nuke for you people. But yeah, I tried to get that for them. Getting off the track here. So yes, he was going in on me. He was crossing me up and all the most. He was doing the most. He was most definitely doing the most. And he dunked. I dunked on him because this is what happened. He made his shot. Alright, it was my turn. So what I did, I went up, I pump faked, and then I jumped as high as I could, and I slammed down the basket. And I was like 5'11" at this time. I wasn't 6'4", I was 5'11". And I jumped with all my might, and I actually mic mishap. But I remember the day because the next day everybody was laughing at him, and I was like, wait, what happened? And everybody's like, yo, you really put your nuts on his neck. And I was just like, wait, what? That don't sound right. Like like, to me that didn't sound right. But then I thought about it, and I was like, oh, they're talking about when I dunked on him. And I remember that later on the next day, I was chilling with his sister and my girl, and his sister and my girl were like really close. Like, they became really good friends. So essentially what had happened is that they were messing around or whatever. I don't know what they were doing, because girls don't do things guys do. They really don't. They do other things that are weird. And for me and him, I remember going to my boy's room, because those two were was in her sister's room. I remember I went to my boy's room, and me and him, we're playing World at War. We're playing World at War Doritos, and he gets the Wonder Waffle. And I remember this clear as day. He gets the Wonder Waffle. We're on wave 25. And essentially, essentially what happened is his mom disconnects the internet. And I remember the look on his face and on my girl's face. She went outside and was like, what happened to the Wi-Fi? And I'm like, yeah, what happened to the Wi-Fi? Fuck. I was like, what happened to the Wi-Fi? And we went downstairs and his mom unplugged the Wi-Fi. Apparently, my boy had failed a few tests, and she told him that if he kept failing, that she would unplug the internet and not plug it in until his grades went up. And I remember my girl sitting there looking at me, looking at his mom. She had the biggest fuck face I've ever seen in my life. That had me. I was really sitting there ready to tear up from my laughter. I've never seen her look like that ever. Like, that was the first time I ever seen her with that face, and I've known her for years. So fast forward a few months, my friend gets his test, he gets his results, whatever. And his sister used to sleep over at my girlfriend's house. Now, how awkward is that? That is mad awkward, because I used to go sleep at my boy's house. I used to say I'm gonna sleep at my boy's house, but really I would go to her house, and her would just kick and play video games all night. And my boy was just, oh man, my boy was just aggravated. Like, he was just aggravated with life. Like, I remember that because he's sitting here kicking his wall because he can't play Call of Duty or any games online. Because I don't know if you guys remember that, but back in those days, that's like when internet first became a thing. Like, online gaming was really a big thing now. So playing a game by yourself was no longer plausible. Like, before it was bad as it is when people, like, need their phones. That's how it was for, like, Wi-Fi. Oh, yeah, niggas needed Wi-Fi like niggas need their phones. And I still get a kick out of it. I think it's so funny.
I see enemy servers.
I'm terrible.
Friendly UAV inbound. Hardpoint identified. Hostiles have the hardpoint.
But to me, it was just one of those things that just made my day. Like, back when I was a kid, I got a kick out of people losing their shit. I feel like that's just kids. Kids get a kick out of people losing their shit. So, boy, was this shit. And I'm sitting here like, why? Why are you losing your mind? It's not that serious. It's just a game. And I remember like a few years later, when I had no internet, and I was just like, what is life? I had a what is life moment. I remember thinking to myself, this is exactly what my boy must have felt like. Like, he was really on that what is life. How did I not kill him with both of those shots at that distance?
Hardpoint identified. Hardpoint is ours.
I remember that very well.
Inbound.
I know this is kind of like a ranty video, but story time for you. But all this happened so long ago, so I'm trying to pick out stories and build up a essentially, I'm trying to build up a timeline story so we can get to our current date. And I think the next episode I do, I might end up putting out a party story or whatever. The story of my first party, my craziest party, my most embarrassing party. All of those things might end up doing that. But until then, I've been Marco. Have a nice day.